Naruto and Obito are two very similar characters. In fact, if you want to think about it, Obito is a mirror of Naruto. The three-man teams of Naruto seem to be mirrors of other teams. Over and over we see the same story told, whether it be Team Minato, Team Kakashi, Team Jiraiya, by which I mean the Ame Orphans, or Team Hiruzen. We see the same tropes and homages to other teams, which gives us our basic formula for how a team works. You have one character whose job is to be clueless and funny, partially a screw-up until he blossoms into a cunning, competent, and still hilarious warrior who surpasses the other two. Probably a euphemism for puberty or something. Then you have the edgy character who always had family issues, usually revolving around demise, which changes them forever into dark characters who dance with death and ultimately become a villainous character. Then you have the girl of the group, who tends to crush on the edgy kid and ignore the one who is obviously the star. However, this formula, while seeing itself retold a number of times, still ends up shaken up from time to time, but one stood out to me a lot. Something that was very different from the previous versions of this team dynamic. We got to see the clueless, funny screw-up fall to darkness instead of the edgy kid, and that is actually something shocking. This character who stood as a mirror for Naruto in another life and another time did not keep believing. In fact, he stopped believing and turned to a world of dreams that he was too afraid or incompetent to achieve on his own. It's actually really deep. That is why when people point to Sasuke or Nagato and say that they're the best mirror for Naruto, I hold up my hand and stop them, reminding them that Obito is Naruto, a Naruto who stopped believing. They shared the same dreams: become the Hokage, get the girl, become respected, and prove that anyone can be great if they try hard enough. However, along the way, Obito began to see this as impossible, and due to his impossible goals, he gave up. Naruto, on the other hand, seeing his impossible goals, decided instead to rev up and push harder, knowing that if he worked hard enough and believed hard enough, he would make it. That is why I wanted to try an experiment. Obito and Naruto are very similar on every possible level, but stand completely opposite from each other. So now I plan to ask that question that Virgil asks Dante, but superimpose Obito and Naruto there instead. That day, if our positions were switched, would our fates be different? Would I have your life and you mine?
Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Also, we just released some brand new merch. If you'd like to show your support for the channel even further while at the same time repping stylish clothing, be sure to check that out as well. The store is linked below. YouTube's been unsubscribing users from channels lately, so if you're a fan of us, please do us a favor and double check to see if you're still subscribed. It only takes a second and it helps us a ton here at Amagi. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video.
Our story starts during the era of the Second and Third Shinobi World Wars. Naruto Uzumaki, a boy whose parents were killed in the Second Shinobi World War, and no, I'm not talking about Minato and Kushina. For all intents and purposes, Naruto had different parents. Regardless, he lives alone, not knowing anyone. He tries his hardest at the academy, yet he still falls behind others in class. There are many capable kids, but none more capable than Kakashi. While Naruto was over there having a hard time even forming a single perfect shadow clone, Kakashi was over there doing multi-shadow clones. Naruto was weak, but he had great drive and ambition, hoping to grow stronger in hopes of impressing his friend Rin Nohara, a girl who had caught his eye. Her gentle smile, her caring nature, whenever Naruto was hurt, she was there to mend it. She would get on to him for pushing himself so much, and she would offer him words of encouragement when he felt bad about Kakashi being better than he was. While there were plenty of girls in the village, each kind as can be, Rin was special. To Naruto, he felt as if there were no girl in the whole world quite like her, but sadly, her heart was set on Kakashi. Kakashi did not reciprocate, however, and this only seemed to fuel Naruto's rivalry with him. Naruto wanted to be worthy of her attention, and it seemed that every time Naruto managed to accomplish a big feat, Kakashi would accomplish a bigger one. Kakashi was the first member of the team to reach Chunin, and Rin was second. Naruto took his sweet time, but eventually made it too. He was so excited to tell Rin, hoping that he might even get the slightest bit of attention from her, but the day he hoped to tell her, this news was completely overshadowed by Kakashi, who had been named a Jonin. Jealousy struck Naruto like a knife. However, there was one moment in time when Naruto felt truly glad not to be Kakashi. Kakashi's father had died, killing himself during the time that Kakashi was away due to the shame that he had brought down on his name. Ritualistic harakiri, accomplished in hopes of restoring some of the honor that he had lost due to his tremendous failure during the war. Naruto had hoped to comfort Kakashi, but there wasn't anything he could do. What, so his parents were gone? So what? There's no way that Naruto could understand the pain of walking in on their corpse. That was the argument Kakashi would make as soon as Naruto would try, but eventually time came and Naruto and the rest of his team, led by Minato and Amagi, would attempt to accomplish a specific mission in the war. The Kanabi Bridge sabotage mission. Naruto would be excited for his first real mission, but that happiness was offset by his disappointment that Kakashi was leading the mission while Minato left to accomplish another big mission. During this time, however, Rin was captured by Iwanin and held for interrogation. Naruto argues with Kakashi about going back for her, saying that if Kakashi wanted to finish his mission and forgo his responsibility as Jonin of the team, then he could do whatever he wanted. Naruto, on the other hand, would not be a coward. He would personally save Rin if he had to. Naruto would go off to rescue her, leaving Kakashi with his thoughts. Having a change of heart, Kakashi would rush back to help. Just in time too, because Naruto was about to be killed by one of the Iwanin. They managed to defeat the shinobi, but in the process, Kakashi loses an eye. Together they rush in to save Rin, and in doing so beat the remaining shinobi. However, that shinobi uses a special technique to bring the ceiling of the cave down. Naruto would save Kakashi, but in return he would have the entire right side of his body crushed by a rock. Unable to save him, they would lament his apparent demise. At this point, Naruto is unable to give Kakashi a Sharingan, specifically because he doesn't have one to give. Due to this, Naruto is crushed, and Kakashi has to fight Kako and a bunch of other Iwanin, but due to the loss of an eye, he is all but defeated and killed. Rin only survives because Minato shows up and kills the enemy for her. This leaves the team devastated. Minato and Rin must then destroy Kanabi Bridge on their own, in which Rin mostly relies upon Minato to do everything. Naruto, however, still lives and would be taken to the mountain's graveyard, where his body would be repaired with the cells of Hashirama Senju. He would then wake up and find that he had a set of Rinnegan in his head. He originally didn't notice them, but when he did, he couldn't help but wonder how they'd gotten there. The reason was that Madara knew Naruto to be an Uzumaki, one of the few capable of wielding the Rinnegan without being drained by its power. Madara had hoped for a proper vessel to hold them until he returned. He would tell Naruto how he had reconstructed his body using special cells he had cultivated, but Naruto wouldn't understand. Naruto would continue trying to get used to his new body, overcoming the awkwardness of the Senju cells that were seemingly bonding well with his own. It's later that Naruto hears that Rin is in danger and is sent out after her with White Zetsu. He would find her and Minato fighting against Kirinin. Rin, knowing that she will endanger the village if she returns to it, attempts to kill herself on Minato's kunai, but Minato would use his flying Raijin jutsu to avoid striking her, instead jumping to one of his nearby kunai. Naruto would quickly join in the fight with his White Zetsu covering. He would help them defeat the Kirinin. Minato and Rin would both be confused and on guard. Naruto would realize that they couldn't see his face, so he pulled himself out of the White Zetsu and stood before them, the Zetsu fleeing away. Rin and Minato would be so happy yet confused to see a member of their old team. They would ask how he survived, and Naruto would tell them of the kind Gramps who found him and healed him with strange techniques. They would question him on his Rinnegan, but Naruto would state that he had no idea how he awakened them, unaware that they were transplanted into his own head. He would then stop and ask Rin why she was attempting to kill herself. She states that somebody placed Isobu, the Three Tails, into her, and that she has to kill herself before she gets to the village, as the seal will break the moment she steps foot into Konoha. Minato finds it awfully strange that the Kirinin should tell her that, given that they wanted it to be a surprise. They'd take her back to Konoha, but before going into the village, they would bring out experts in Fuinjutsu, including Kushina, who would attempt to comfort the girl who had just found herself the unwilling vessel of a tailed beast. She would tell her that she was about the same age when she first became Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. She would try to tell Rin not to be afraid and that her life wouldn't be ruined. They merely would need to take precautions to ensure her safety and the safety of everyone else. So they would finish sealing her and bring her into the village. There she would live. Naruto would be so grateful to be with her again. He would ask her where Kakashi was, and she would inform him that he had died in battle protecting her from the Iwanin not long after Naruto had been crushed. Naruto would feel horrible about this, realizing that it was his fault for making Kakashi promise to protect her. But at the same time, he was damn glad he had, because if Kakashi hadn't protected her, she would be dead right now. Naruto would then think about how long he had dreamed about Rin and how much he had wanted to say to her, but could he now? He looked at his own body and remembered the unnatural pattern of his eyes. He was a monster right now. He couldn't ever tell her how he felt. Then, as if she sensed what he was thinking, she'd pull him by the chin to look at her. "Your eyes are so beautiful," she would say to him, looking into the circles that spiraled outward like a whirlpool, similar to that of the Uzumaki clan's crest. Naruto would blush. You like them? Aren't they a bit scary?" She would shake her head as her finger would trace the lines on the side of his face, the scars left behind from his injuries. There's nothing scary about you, Naruto. Your soul is gentle and kind. Anyone who can't see you for who you truly are would be an idiot. After that, they shared their first kiss. Naruto would continue to foster this bond as well as take his time to join the Anbu. He would be welcomed with open arms due to the strange abilities he possessed, as well as the Rinnegan. Naruto would make quite a name for himself. However, the time would come that Kushina would be pregnant. And specifically because I plan to make her Obito's mother in this, I'm going to make Kushina part Uchiha to allow Obito to keep his Sharingan. On the day that Obito is to be born, the white Zetsu named Guru Guru enters the village to take the Nine Tails and manages to pull the beast out of Kushina and control it, after having taken over the body of an Uchiha. However, he's stopped by Minato and the Nine Tails is sealed within Obito. Obito would then be taken to a hospital where he'd be waited on by staff, with Mikoto Uchiha and Rin Nohara watching over him. Due to Obito being an Uchiha by blood, the question would come up if he should live with them at their compound. However, due to the fact that an Uchiha was suspected of having been at fault for the attack, the Hidden Leaf refuses to hand him over. This slowly begins to sour relations between Konoha and the Uchiha, compounded by the fact that their clan's home was moved to the outskirts of town. An action which would eventually lead the Uchiha to attempt a coup, only to be put down by Itachi, who kills them all personally. Obito is raised by himself, only given enough money to survive. He's universally hated by the village, and he takes this hard. He cries a lot. Whenever someone's rude to him, whenever he's kicked out from an establishment just because he's an Uchiha and the bearer of the Nine Tails. He becomes somewhat reclusive, never leaving his home. This goes on for a while, and eventually Hiruzen himself in civilian clothes would appear at the apartment and ask Obito to let him in. Obito would open the door, his face still stained with tears. Hiruzen would walk in and sit down at a table with the boy, having brought something to eat. Together they share a meal, and Hiruzen begins to poke at the elephant in the room. He asks why Obito won't at least leave his apartment to take care of himself. Obito would answer the question with another question by asking the Hokage why everyone in the village hates him. Why is it that people treat him so badly? Was it something he did in the past? Is it because he's an Uchiha and they're all dead now? Why did they hate him? Hiruzen knows that he can't answer this question due to fear that the truth about what he is may fracture his tiny mind and cause him to lose control of it. So he simply states that he doesn't know. This helps Obito literally none. In fact, it makes it worse because he doesn't know if it's because something is wrong with him or not. Hiruzen would then switch gears. He would tell Obito that he needs to get out there and find some friends. Obito seems hesitant due to how much everybody hates him. Hiruzen would recommend the academy, knowing it's a place where kids his age would be. Kids who aren't supposed to know what Obito is and therefore shouldn't avoid him. So he sends him there. While there, Obito would attempt to make friends, but the only kid he seems to make real friends with would be Sasuke because of their shared heritage. They would study together, and given that both were Uchiha and orphaned, there would be a sort of brotherly bond between the two, with Sasuke looking out for Obito like an older brother. Because of Sasuke's help, Obito's grades pick up and he seems a little more happy. Sasuke and Obito become thicker than thieves, specifically because the latter won't leave the former alone. Sasuke is a little off-put by Obito's weakness, but doesn't have it in him to be cruel and rude to him. Not since he's also an Uchiha who seems to see unfair treatment, something Sasuke can't understand. With Sasuke's tutelage, Obito manages to pass the test and become a Genin himself. He, along with Sasuke and Sakura, are assigned to the same team. They would wait for their Jonin to appear, that Jonin ending up being Naruto. However, the Genin would be off-put by Naruto's Rinnegan, with Sasuke in particular trying to figure out what they even are, believing them to be some mutated Sharingan. Naruto would take his students aside and would begin getting to know them. He would eventually get around to Obito and ask what it is that Obito wants to do. What has he always dreamed of doing? Obito would not really be able to answer, never really having a dream. He would simply say, "I want the village to love and respect me." Naruto would nod. Naruto had seen the nine-tailed fox's attack, and he had seen what people had done to Obito for being the host of the beast. He would smile. "It sounds like you also want to become Hokage." Obito would listen and think about it. "Is the Hokage respected and loved?" Naruto would nod. "Yeah, it comes with the territory." Obito would smile. That was what he wanted to do. He wanted to be Hokage. And so Naruto would take up his team, and together they would set about doing their work. Obito would show great dedication to the task and would accomplish many things. His time with the team and his missions bringing smiles to everyone's faces would lighten Obito's mood. Naruto was glad. As a special treat, he would take his Genin to Ichiraku Ramen, his favorite restaurant, where he would treat them to a nice meal. He would then see them off back home before preparing to do it all again the next day. Just as always, they would check in with the Hokage, who would distribute new missions to them. One of the missions was the Land of Waves mission. It seemed like it was a bit more important than the others, seemed a bit more adventurous and dangerous despite the danger only really being in appearance. The only thing they needed to protect Tizuna from would be bandits. He hoped that this mission would help Obito overcome his self-doubt and increase his confidence. They would venture out and be immediately attacked by the Demon Brothers. Obito would freeze and Sasuke would have to step in to protect him. Sasuke would scold him for freezing, telling him that he's going to have to start watching out for himself because Sasuke isn't always going to be able to protect him. This would upset Obito, to which Sasuke would immediately apologize, saying that it's only out of concern. Naruto would approach Obito from behind and tell him that he's fine. Everyone freezes up every now and again. He tells Obito that the reason why people freeze in such situations is because they're fighting their natural response. Humans have the predisposition to either fight or flee when surprised. He tells Obito that his response is to flee, but he wants to fight, so he freezes. He tells Obito that it's okay to listen to your original response, as even fleeing from a strike is something that shinobi do. They make space until they can formulate a plan. He further tells Obito that one day, with enough training, his natural response might change, and he'll meet danger head-on instead of retreating from it. He gives him a pat on the back, and they continue. Now, of course, Obito never manipulates Yagura, the Mizukage, so Zabuza is never really created due to the bloody rituals Obito began causing Yagura to enforce. This means neither Haku nor Zabuza are here to stop them, so they go straight to the home of Tizuna where Naruto has them train. Naruto teaches them to climb vertical surfaces using chakra. Of course, Sasuke has a hard time doing it, as does Obito, though Sakura gets it her first try. Sasuke and Obito would not stop until they managed to master it, showing pure dedication to the task at hand, something Naruto appreciates. They don't stop until they succeed, which for Obito takes a lot longer. Obito would be left to sleep in due to working himself to exhaustion. This is fine though, as he gets to protect Inari and Tsunami, while the rest of the team protects the bridge and its workers. However, Gato and his men show up to stop the bridge's construction. Naruto decides to deal with this personally. He hovers over the bridge using the power of his Rinnegan and uses a weak Shinra Tensei to knock Gato and his men off the bridge and into the water. He would find Gato and pull him up and out of the water. Naruto would stare deeply into Gato with his Rinnegan, and he would tell Gato that he will never bother the people from the village again. He tells him that if he even hears so much as a peep from the people of the village regarding Gato causing them trouble, Naruto will return to the village and stamp out Gato personally and permanently. He then drops him into the water and returns to the bridge, where he tells the workers that they shouldn't have to worry about Gato anymore. Due to this, they finish the bridge and name it the Bridge of the Six Paths. They would return to Tizuna's house and collect Obito and move back to the village. All the while, Sasuke is completely befuddled by the power that Naruto displayed, wondering how he could be a shinobi of that caliber, not yet understanding how he isn't Hokage yet. They return to the village, where they'd be informed that the Chunin exams are taking place in the village soon. Naruto decides to allow his genin to partake in the exams, allowing them to sign up. For the first part of the exam, they're forced to take a written test. Sakura and Sasuke breeze right through it, but Obito falls behind, having yet to awaken his Sharingan. Hinata offers to let him cheat, and so Obito accepts. Hinata would erase her name from the sheet and sign it as Obito Uchiha. She would then switch papers with him, answering it the same way as before, but this time she uses her left hand to ensure that their handwriting style is different. When it comes down to the final question, Obito is scared by the threat that he'll never become a Chunin if he fails. But he also realizes that if he doesn't take the question, he won't be able to be respected as a shinobi and will never achieve his dreams. So he decides to take it and is thus passed due to the gutsiness required to take the test. Then comes the second test, the Forest of Death. In this test, they find themselves playing a deadly game of Capture the Flag, requiring them to hold tight to their Heaven Scroll and search out a team with the Earth Scroll. As they do so, they are attacked by Orochimaru under the guise of the genin named Shiore. Orochimaru plans to take an Uchiha vessel, but instead of Sasuke, he plans to take Obito, due to Obito being an Uchiha with the potential to awaken a Sharingan, as well as him being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. So when he gets the chance, he bites Obito and plants the Cursed Seal of Heaven on him. This causes Obito to pass out. Sasuke and Sakura hold vigil above him, protecting him until he wakes up. It's during this time that Team Dosu attacks them and leaves Team 7 on the ropes. The rest of the Rookie 9 would appear to help, but Team Dosu seems to be way above them. It's then that Obito awakens and goes on a rampage. The curse mark on his shoulder and the tailed beast within his body mix and release as a violent purple version 1 chakra cloak. With it, Obito begins to shred Team Dosu, forcing a retreat, with Obito only stopping when begged and hugged by Sakura. Sasuke is completely floored by the level of power Obito is displaying. He sees how Obito, a nobody and a screw-up, went from 0 to hero in 2.5 seconds after waking from that curse mark, and is slightly jealous of the power. They manage to get themselves an Earth Scroll and make their way to the center of the forest where the arena awaits them. When the third round begins, Obito is set to fight Kiba and Akamaru. However, Obito unknowingly uses a jutsu and accidentally awakens his curse mark. Flying into a frenzy, he accidentally kills Kiba and Akamaru, which startles the crowd. They begin to pelt him with trash. Obito would be disqualified from the exams for use of his curse mark. Obito would leave the stadium where he'd wandered the streets home. People would begin to spit on him, the wounds of the Demon Fox's attack having reopened due to Obito's slaughtering of Kiba and his puppy. This sends Obito into a depression in which he returns to his apartment to hide. Once the preliminaries were over, Naruto would visit Obito and ask if he was okay. Obito would say that he killed an innocent shinobi, one of the rookie 9 that came to save him when they were being attacked by Team Dosu after facing Orochimaru. Naruto would try to console him, but it wouldn't help any. Obito would continue to hide his face from Naruto. As Naruto left, Obito would look up, his eyes transformed into Sharingan, with nothing but resentment glowing behind them. Days would pass, and Obito wouldn't leave his apartment. Weeks would pass, a month. He wouldn't leave. He didn't even go to cheer on Sasuke in the finals, and when Orochimaru attacked the village, Obito was nowhere to be found. The Hokage would be killed, and due to this, Naruto would be chosen to be the 5th Hokage. As Obito cowered in his room, hiding from the people of the village who so unfairly hated him, he would be visited by Kimimaro, who would show up sitting on his windowsill. He would speak to Obito and ask him why he hides. Obito would explain it to him and they would converse for a time. Eventually, Kimimaro tells him of a place where all outcasts can come together, Otogakure, the village hidden in sound. He tells him that Obito can go stronger there, strong enough to destroy the village. After all, if all of them refuse to view him as a legitimate shinobi and as only trash, then what's to stop him from growing stronger and destroying all the so-called real shinobi? Obito would agree with Kimimaro and together they would leave the village. He would be put into a jar and given special medicine which he was promised would allow him to control the power Orochimaru had gifted him with. It was dark and he was asleep, yet he knew exactly what was going on. A team of shinobi were sent out after Obito, and leading them was Sasuke. When Obito would awaken, he would realize that he had grown stronger. He would then notice Sasuke and would flee, hoping to avoid being forced to return to the village that didn't want him. Sasuke would eventually catch him at the Valley of the End, where he'd comment on Obito's new Curse Mark Stage 2 form. He wouldn't fight him though. Instead, Sasuke would mention that he's intrigued and wants to know what this Orochimaru can do for them both. And so, together they leave the village and meet up with Orochimaru. Orochimaru would welcome them both to Otogakure and would begin to train them and experiment. Sasuke would also be branded with the curse mark and would have it evolve to stage 2. Obito and Sasuke would train hard and proceed to do odd jobs for Orochimaru. They would talk together and Sasuke would state how he planned to kill Itachi for destroying the Uchiha clan and killing his family. It was then that Obito revealed his plans to destroy Konoha. If he would be so unfairly hated, Obito would destroy them. For over 2 years, Obito and Sasuke trained, with Obito proving himself to be every bit as strong as Sasuke, perhaps stronger. They would end up meeting Jugo, Kurin, and Suigetsu, all of them becoming friendly during their trips to many different research facilities, but eventually Orochimaru would be able to use his living corpse reincarnation technique. He would attempt to take Obito's body, but Sasuke would push him out of the way, and Sasuke's body would be taken over by Orochimaru instead. Orochimaru is upset that he missed, but knows that he can salvage this simply by taking Obito's tailed beast and implanting it into Sasuke's, now Orochimaru's, body. Obito would be destroyed by the loss of Sasuke. He'd face off against Orochimaru. Obito, from the loss of Sasuke, would develop a Mangekyou Sharingan, which he'd be able to use to get the drop on Orochimaru. He would be so sorrowful about Sasuke, yet vengeful against Orochimaru for the way he took Sasuke after their years of loyal service. He would rather that Sasuke's body be destroyed than be used by Orochimaru, and so Obito killed Orochimaru, destroying the body with a fireball jutsu. Obito would be left alone. Realizing the power that he gained through awakening his Mangekyou Sharingan, he would decide that he needed to destroy Konoha. But first, he wanted to finish Sasuke's dream of killing Itachi. He would intercept a message meant for the deceased Sasuke telling him where Itachi is. Meanwhile, Naruto is informed that Orochimaru is dead, and that now would be the perfect time for him to find and bring his genin home. Naruto would leave, hoping to intercept Sasuke and Obito, not yet knowing that Sasuke is dead. However, Naruto would be stopped by Black Zetsu, who refuses to let Naruto interfere with the battle. Obito would then make it to the Uchiha hideout. There, he would find Itachi, who would ask where Sasuke is, and Obito would state that Orochimaru killed him. Itachi would at first be surprised, then saddened. He would then hit a point where he doesn't believe that anything matters anymore. Looking to Obito, he knows the boy is an Uchiha, so it would be the next best thing. He would stand and demand a fight from Obito, telling him that if he will take up Sasuke's burden, then he will also take up Sasuke's responsibility. The two begin battle by casting genjutsu, and they both pull out of it rather quickly. Obito even goes so far as to snap out of Tsukiyomi, a feat that surprises Itachi. Itachi would then begin attempting to cast Amaterasu, but is astounded when Obito appears to be charging straight through it without burning. They would then engage in battle with their Susanos, their blades clashing. Obito would dodge Itachi's Magatama and would respond by throwing his Kamui Shuriken. This manages to warp away many of Itachi's Susanoo weapons save for the Yata Mirror, which seems to be immune to jutsu, including forced space-time jutsu. But here is the thing. Obito doesn't need to send Itachi away. While Itachi is hiding behind the Yata Mirror, Obito would disappear, only to appear behind him and stab him through the back. Itachi falls forward, coughing and laughing a little. Obito would ask what's so funny. Itachi would smile, looking up and saying, "I can finally rest now." Itachi would die. Obito would stand there looking over the body, happy to have finally fulfilled Sasuke's wish. It's then that Black Zetsu would appear. He would speak with Obito. To a point, Obito wonders how his whole life went to crap, how he came to lose the only person who ever loved him, and why he had to grow up hated. Black Zetsu says that this is what reality was, and that you didn't always get the chance to change it. Some people were just born under rotten circumstances, and their lives would be a hellish place. Zetsu would take him to the Naka Shrine in Konoha, utilizing Obito's new Kamui ability. He would then show him the Uchiha Stone Monument. Zetsu would explain, "The infinite Tsukiyomi. When someone possessing the Rinnegan captures all the tailed beasts and merges them together into one being, the Ten Tails, they can approach the moon and cast a genjutsu so powerful that no one can escape it." He tells Obito that in this genjutsu, an entire world exists that is as real to their minds as this one is. Indistinguishable, unless you somehow knew that you were dreaming. He then tells Obito that in this world, they can control what happens. They can make their world however they want it to be. Obito is intrigued. "I already have a tailed beast. I just need to go and get the other 8 and the Rinnegan." Zetsu tells him that this was the way to do it. Obito decides that this is what he must do, so he makes his way to Konoha, where he releases Kurama's physical form and controls it through genjutsu. Kurama goes about smashing everything. Obito would then watch as many shinobi tried and failed to hold it back. Then Naruto would appear and Obito would go down and begin to fight him. Naruto would beg Obito to stop, trying to drag him back to the light. This was good in Obito's eyes. It meant that Naruto still cared about him and that ultimately he would hold back. Naruto had never seen Obito's abilities before, so as they clashed, Obito's intangibility came into play many times, something that Naruto could not deal with. He would end up killing Naruto, same as he had Itachi. Obito would then take the Rinnegan from Naruto. With this mission completed, Obito would then allow for the entire village to be destroyed by Kurama, leaving nothing but smoldering ash. He would pull Kurama back in and begin to search for the other tailed beasts, replacing his eyes with the Rinnegan. Once he had taken all tailed beasts, he would place them within the Geto statue and absorb it, becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki and awakening the Rinne Sharingan. He would wait for the moon to approach. However, as it did, Black Zetsu would betray him and take over his body, transforming him into Kaguya Otsutsuki. Lost within her subconscious, she would put him to sleep and into a dream world of his own desire, and would then cast the infinite Tsukiyomi on the whole world and reclaim its chakra. Perhaps in this dream Obito found himself in, he would be able to be placed in a world full of love and kindness. And that's it for the story. If Obito and Naruto had switched places, we would see many things happen. First off, Naruto would never join Madara, which puts an end to the Eye of the Moon plan. However, if Black Zetsu survives, he will continue to push for the plan to be completed, and would thus begin to look for a way to achieve it by manipulating every player on the field. He had been doing it for over 1,000 years to achieve his goal. He wouldn't stop now. As for Obito, he would eventually stop believing in his dreams when the going got tough. And once he gives up on himself, his dreams, and his future, a new villain is born. Now, I had Sasuke treat Obito like a brother because thematically it felt good and it worked well for the plot I was telling. However, I would wonder if he actually would do this. Given this 50-50 situation, I just went with whatever I thought y'all might find more interesting.
Did you enjoy our video? Well, then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.